Alright, Mr. JK here. Um, Now, usually I come on here with a sports thing, and that's mainly what I talk about and all that stuff. Um, but in this case, I just had something on my mind. um, but anyways, first off, I gotta take the tell you about the disclaimer. This is a totally 100% unscripted segment. All right. Originally, it was started because when I was at work within this last year at a particular company, during my breaks, I would be spitting out facts to like during the time when certain coworkers were around. These certain coworkers, John Pearson, Todd Henson, Jacob Peterson, all three convinced me that I should be going on here to start a thing called Facts with Mr. JK. After mulling it over a little bit, that's pretty much what ended up happening.
He has that special something in crunch time. Some guys have it across the board.
However, over time, I decided to change it from the title of Facts with Mr. JK to something like Mr. JK Presents, because that kind of opens it up to an even wider variety of things that I can talk about besides facts or opinions that I have, basically. So, even though this may be more about facts and opinionated stuff from my point of view, it still opens it up for discussion to where anything could be talked about, such as my team, the 49ers, still undefeated. I knew that they would be able to be undefeated at this point, and I got faith that they'll still be undefeated and move up to a 8-0 record after Thursday night when they go up against the Panthers, especially if they keep playing the way that they've been playing. As a true 49er fan, I've been waiting for another year like this for a long, long time. Alright, so anyways,
San Francisco did to Kyle Allen yesterday. Oh, you brought him back down to earth. Now you can make the move to going back.
One reason why I came on here was to kind of
when everything's flowing, even if you had lost, but he was flowing.
Like blast my older brother out. Basically, there's been certain threads that he created for his own selfish desire to post what he wants to post, but yet when someone else posting something called family news about something that a good majority of the family would care about, he comes on and says, well, that's not what it's for. Basically saying that he's the only one that can post opinionated thing within the family news. And he might be thinking that me not answering back to him right away means that he won the so-called war on who was right to post or whatever, but
in Carolina for years. But Kyle Shanahan took him to school yesterday.
The way I figure it is when I went to decide that I wasn't going to post in that thread anymore, and me taking the stand right now, not going to be posting in a thread that he created called, well, I'm not going to say what it's called because I'm not going to post in it. Yeah, I'm not going to really give him a chance to win per se. If I got some news that I feel the whole family needs to know, I'm going to post it in family news. I don't care if I get in trouble. And if he thinks that I'm posting something that doesn't belong in there, then remove me from the group.
Should Nagy be on the hot seat?
No, I don't think so. I thought he showed a lot of promise last year. Ryan Pace, the GM.
Remove me from all your groups.
Look, and it's time that,
I'm getting tired of
think of who dropped in that draft and they
having to read a lot of stuff that, frankly, I don't really care too much about, because all you do is you post little videos. I understand the videos of my nieces and nephews, or pictures or something like that. My nieces or nephews, or actual news that the family's going through. I understand that, but I'm talking about other stuff that he ends up finding and posting and saying, "Oh, this is something that you should be seeing," and all that stuff. No, that's, you create something that's called family news. It should be a news that everyone in the family, or most, or a big majority of the family, cares about. Yes, I'm here in Wisconsin with the family that I'm closer to the family than my older brother who's out in the state of Oregon. And I know for a fact that most of my family does care about sports and cares about what I have to say when I talk about sports.
Every yard counts. If they were 5 to 10 yards closer, he doesn't miss that.
All right, when you create a group and you say that you got to post interest of the whole family, you got to go into account that there's going to be a bunch of people that may end up liking what certain other few individuals would like.
Broncos are 2-6 after a tough loss to Indy yesterday. Joe Flacco isn't happy with.
I'm not saying that everybody in the group is sports fans, but I'm saying that there is a good majority of sports fans in the group.
Go for it in a 2-minute drill. Like, who cares if you give the ball back to the guys with 1 minute and 40 seconds left? They obviously got the field goal anyway.
Especially on
once again, we're at 2-6.
Our father's side.
Like
there's a lot of sports fans on our father's side, and there's quite a bit of sports fans on our mom's side as well.
I agree with every word he said. He's absolutely right, but the reason is that they're afraid to do it is because Flacco's not that good.
If I go in and say something like, starting bragging about my team being undefeated at this moment, when no other team in the NFC conference is undefeated at this point.
The answer is always no, but he's not scared to try. He's not scared.
Believe me, it is justified, because other people in the group would be Packer fans, Bears fans, and I know there's more than just me that's other fans of other teams besides those the Bears and Packers. All right, I know a good majority of my family are Bears and Packers fans, but I know there's other people like myself that their favorite team is other teams, such as, like, me. I'm a Niners fan. I've been a 49ers fan ever since, like, Joe Montana and Steve Young and Jerry Rice, and then played on there. I've been on that. I've jumped on the train as a fan back in those days, and I have never ever jumped off. Never, ever, have I jumped off the train. I've had respect for other players and other teams and all that stuff, but I've never really jumped off the train of being a true 49ers fan.
Good enough, you know, and he comes here and does a great
All right.
job. So,
And I'm actually
great celebration for him. And
one of the
certainly
few people in the
partner
United States that's cheering for
well-deserved.
New England Patriots to
only better than 300 0-1.
lose this year.
So we'll be back at it this week.
However, if
Belichick, the
by
greatest
chance
coach in sports history.
both the Patriots and the Niners end up
It just
getting to the Super Bowl undefeated,
6 Super Bowl championships,
having
as a head coach in
a
addition to
first
2
time in history,
coordinator,
2 undefeated teams
about 3 additional
play up
trips to
against
the
each other in Super Bowl, and then the winner
additional trips to the Super 3, I believe it
of
is.
that
When
would
you
be
look at what
able
this man
to
has accomplished,
finish
just
the
phenomenal.
whole entire season all the way up through the Super Bowl
Guys
undefeated.
that played in
That
the
would be
league
phenomenal.
for him and against him, all saying the same exact thing. I'm not a fact. I'll go as far as this.
And,
I've never heard a player
Even if it doesn't happen
say
this year,
someone else was the greatest coach
or it doesn't happen with
that
my favorite
they
team
ever faced.
making that part of history,
Lombardi for the
I know one of these days it's going to happen.
This generation, I have not heard one
And
single player, not one, say that there's a better coach.
I'm going to be picking the team that's the underdog against the other to end up winning the whole thing if my team, the Niners, don't end up making it.
Brady go to Los Angeles, Belichick, you know.
But I'm going to be cheering for the Niners to make it and be the champions every single year. I don't care how good or bad the squad is. I'm still going to end up cheering for them through thick and thin. That's the way a true fan is. And when they win, like they've been doing, I'm going to be bragging about it like I've been doing. If they lose, I'm going to own up to it and suck it up and hope they do better the following week.
Belichick's doing it, spanning eras in the NFL in a parody league. No, like he's unbelievable. He is. I hate to say it because it's with a Boston team, and I'm a New York sports fan. He's the greatest coach in American team sports history.
As a true 49er fan, we've been waiting
Buzzer. All right, make sure to listen into ESPN's
for this
daily podcast for more on Bill
for
Belichick.
almost 20 years.
300th career victory in his quest to pass Don Shula
For the Niners
as the
to be a
winningest
contender
coach
for
in NFL
the last 20 years. And
We got time
yes,
for one more here. Jameis Winston
I can
and the
admit,
Bucs fell short in Tennessee yesterday, but don't tell Bruce Arians Winston is the reason for Tampa's loss.
I kind of have my doubts, but I've never really gave up on him
Jameis threw interceptions.
to
Jameis
return
did throw one
back
damn interception.
to
That was his fault. His
greatness.
receivers let him down today. Guys stopped on routes that were supposed to be going down the middle. The last play was supposed to go down the middle. Should have been a big play.
So,
He played his tail off.
by that analogy,
And, you can write what you want.
my
Not one of those
team in the
interceptions
NBA, the
is
Chicago
a
Bulls,
damn shame.
will one day have
You know,
their day in the sun where they return back to greatness as well.
You know, there are moments where you got to.
Right now, I'm sitting here wishing that
You
it
don't hear a head coach going out in the press conference
simultaneously happened at the same time where both teams were great.
at the expense of
But-
other teammates like Bruce Arians just did. We learned something about when Jameis Winston got
I
there.
am
When we talk about the great coaches in the NFL, obviously starts with Belichick. And then
still
we talk about
holding up
Tomlin
hope
and Peyton and different
that
guys. And
in
Pete
my
Carroll.
lifetime somewhere, the Chicago Bulls will return back to greatness.
Coach for your franchise.
It won't necessarily be the same as the days with MJ and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and Steve Kerr and John Paxson, Horace Grant,
We'll see you all tomorrow.
Scott Williams, Tony Kukoc, Luke Longley, Bill Wingington, Will Perdue.
It's been a busy weekend, a busy morning. Let's get to
Did I mention Luke Longley?
now, shall we?
Oh yeah, I did mention Luke Longley. Tony Kukoc, maybe. I think I forgot.
The Astros take their third straight in D.C., but why the Nats should be feeling good about Game 6.
B.J. Armstrong.
Remain perfect and deliver Bill Belichick a
I'm just
milestone
trying.
process. And
This is
speaking
all
of
coming from
milestones,
in here,
reaches
and
one zone across the globe.
Sports Center, coast to coast. It's where you come when you want the most. Every city, every state.
the reason why I can spit out
Break it
Only better than 300, 301.
like a lot of support from the Chicago Bulls over the 49ers was because honestly because basketball was my first love of sports. Alright, so I'm going to know a little bit more for basketball than I do for football or any other sport that I may end up paying just a tiny bit attention to. So baseball, where it's the World Series is the Astros versus the Nationals right now. It looks like the Astros are going to be the ones that end up winning this year because they're just one game away from getting that championship. I'm just going to end up admitting right now, I really only, just like anything else, I really only know what other people that know more about the sport than I do tell me, basically. I watch a lot of ESPN. I talk to the people who lived back in those days. I read articles of certain things that come up.
Game 6, we got Steven Strasburg on the mound. So I like our chances, keeps us in a ball game. Who knows what can happen?
Winners come to play when the backs are against the wall, and true competitors, you can see
I just basically
we're not going to take anything for granted. It is nice to go home.
Try to get everything I can off of it. Watch certain videos on YouTube. Recently I watched the history of the NFL, and I found out that throughout history there's actually been, including teams that have folded up in history, there's actually been a total of 73 actual franchises in the history of the NFL that end up making the 32 teams that we know today. Alright. They all add up to teams that the 32 teams that we know today. But there's been those 32 teams plus certain ones that have folded up. You add those together, and there have been 73 altogether. And there's been as few as 8 in the league at a particular time. Man, that had to have been a time to live through. Not having very many football teams, but then within a few years later, the NFL just started skyrocketing, AFL too, and then they ended up merging just before the Super Bowl era.
That was one of the best, if not the best,
where the
live in person.
Packers ended up winning against the Chiefs in Super Bowl 1, and then they ended up winning the following year as well in Super Bowl 2. But and the Super Bowl 1 and 2 wins, I've known that for a long time because I've been told that many times. But the fact of only 8 teams being in the NFL at one time and 73 teams being there throughout the course of all time. Those are 2 facts I did not know about until I watched the video that was basically talking about the whole history of the NFL from beginning to end.
Aaron Rodgers praised this defense. You give up 24 points to Matt Moore. KC has any semblance of a defense.
Other areas where I get my facts are certain video cast called The Fumble. It's called The Fumble, but it's basically covers all sports. Recently it was within this past summer, it was covering a bunch of stuff that ended up basing around free agency. And basically that's the whole story. Now I watch a lot of what if videos, and even though I've lived through it, there's certain things that I would watch on certain videos that I never really caught before as a kid because I was paying attention to other things, and so therefore you actually get a lot out of the what if videos.
16 more than any player in tour history. Woods with
gotta also shout out to NBA 2K. They're
the Arnold Palmer Invitational, the Farmers Insurance Open, and WGC Mexico. Sam Snead, the only other golfer
they
7 times and
end up coming out
then
with
there's the
certain
15
things that
majors, second only to Jack Nicklaus in his 18. Tigers won the Masters
make
5 times. Every win
a lot of good points.
43
Let's just say.
There's a point where I didn't know if I'd ever play again.
And
I was just hoping to be able to walk.
you know what? I'm just gonna look up a lot of what videos I watch, and I'm just gonna next time I come on here, I'll spit out at least most of them. I may end up spitting out even the ones that I've told you on this cast right now. It's already gone on longer than I thought it was going to go on.
16 to 1 to 12 to 1, and his odds to win the FedEx Cup sliced in half from 40 to 1 to 20 to 1. Tigers' next scheduled event will be the Hero World Challenge in the Bahamas next week.
Again, shout out to John Pearson, aka Johnny Appleseed, Todd Henson, and Jacob Peterson from Kinninger.
That was really fun. So the reaction within the newsroom as we were talking about this morning.
I miss working with you guys. It's a pleasure working with you guys during the time that I was able to work with you guys. And Casey Tubbs, I know you're going to end up maybe watching this video too, so I'm going to give you a shout out as well. And with that, I'm just going to leave. Peace.